Good morning, Vodafone, and welcome to yoga, bright and early on this slightly dull morning. I'd like to begin by apologising for the poor sound on Tuesday. I don't think it's my fantastically expensive state-of-the-art headset. I think it was poor connection. If it happens again, please do let me know in the chat box and I will do what I can. And if it is the microphone, then I'll try and do something about that. But I think it was just down to poor connection because the microphone has worked very well up till now. But if you're already listening and you're able to give me feedback, that would be, as always, greatly appreciated, either via the chat box. Actually, that's pretty much the only way you can get in touch with me unless you've got my personal number, which I'm probably not going to answer anyway. So there's still 10 minutes to the beginning of class. I'm going to hop onto my mat in a minute. I can just about see, I can't read the chat box, but I can see that chat is happening from my mat. So if you want to give me feedback, of course, that is always welcome. So this morning's class will begin in approximately 6-7 minutes. I'm just going to have a few moments here on my mat to gather my thoughts, collect myself, focus on the breath, and then I'll chat a little bit, give you a little bit of preamble into the class. So if you don't want any of that, then go away, make a cup of tea, or if you're playing the replay, you've got about 5 or 6 minutes of my chat that you may or may not want to listen to. But do make sure you've got a nice non-slip mat. This one's slightly more padded than one would ordinarily choose for a yoga mat. My normal yoga mat is flat, a nice cork surface, but this one is spongy for this particular hard floor. Also have a block handy that will be useful for at least one of the poses, and a strap if you've got one. If you haven't got a strap, an old tie will do, a belt will do. Just watch that the buckle isn't sharp. These are special strap buckles which don't have sharp bits on them. Or you can just get a towel or a piece of gym band, TheraBand, stretchy band, whatever you call it, would also be useful. So I just want to say a few words about perfection. Perfection in the postures. And I think there is a great tendency to strive for perfection in the postures. So let's just examine what that is. There are a lot of yoga offerings online at the moment, and in magazines and in advertising all over the place. We see images of beautiful young yogis with their perfectly oiled bodies, under a waterfall in Bali or on a beach somewhere doing a very beautiful depiction of an asana, a yoga posture. And that can be both encouraging and inspiring to us, and it can also be a little discouraging. And you might look at that and then look at these videos, look at me, look at yourselves and think, there's a little bit of a gap there between what they look like and what I look like. I certainly think that when I look at myself, which I try not to do. And it's worth remembering that yoga postures or asanas were developed to help us towards our goal of complete integration, yoga, that uniting of body, mind, and spirit, that integration, that realization of our true nature. And when we look at a picture of a person in a posture, or even when we look in class at other people in postures, or look at our teacher, please remember that you've got no way of knowing where somebody else is on their journey, what they bring with them to the mat, what physical, emotional, or even karmic difficulties they have to overcome just to get to their mat and constantly are up against in their postures. The asanas take their inspiration from nature. So we call them tree pose or fish pose or all manner of birds and animals. And sometimes the names of great sages or rishis are given to these postures. And those names give us a flavor of what the posture might look like. So nobody's really suggesting that when we're in tree pose, we look exactly like a tree, or when we're in fish pose, we look exactly like a fish. That would be a little bit scary. So that's not what's going on here. What we're doing is we're journeying into a posture, trying to find our way into a posture, and also realizing when we come across difficulties, how our self gets in the way of our journey and our realization to our true self, if that makes any sense. My teacher said you should never demonstrate, that demonstrating was a poor substitute for proper teaching. In this very strange world in which we find ourselves, that's what I have to do here on the mat, because it's not possible to use you as my subjects. I have to use my own body with all its imperfections to try and help you get into the posture. So I'm not a demonstration model. And you'd probably be very quick to agree with me on that. And my regulars know that you absolutely shouldn't copy me. You should try and find your own way into the posture, using the breath, using your intelligence, yoking your mind, your body, and your breath, exploring your physical possibilities and learning from that. It's the journey of self-discovery. As the Bhagavad Gita says, yoga is the journey of the self, through the self, to the self. So good morning, Vodafone. I hope you can see me and hear me clearly. If not, please do drop a note in the chat box. We're going to start now. And we're going to begin in a reclined posture in semi-supine. So if you'd like to set yourselves up on your mat, find a comfortable position. If you want a tiny cushion under the back of your neck, then take one. If you've got one, or a folded up blanket, or a ponytail, just to lift the back of your head very, very slightly off the ground. Not so much, a block would be too much, that your chin tucks. So you want to have space, the back of the neck. Relax your shoulders into the mat, palms face the ceiling, and take a couple of minutes here to settle your breath. So we always do this at the beginning of class. We do some sort of pranayama, usually a more active pranayama, but since we've been online, they've been a bit more passive. Connecting with the breath, just being aware of the flow of the breath in and out, connecting your mind into your body using the breath as a bridge. Taking a few moments to settle yourself on the mat. If you've been rushing around trying to get set up, trying to digest a bit of breakfast or wolf down half a cup of tea, then just let go of all that and calm your mind. Take a few moments here to gather yourself and to adopt this position of active rest. So we're no longer asleep, but we're not rushing around frantically either. And this position of active rest is available to us at any point in the day. If life gets a bit much, find yourself a little space. Get down into semi-supine, close your eyes, and take a few minutes to connect to your breath and your body, to catch up with yourself, and to calm the mind. When you're ready, draw one knee into your chest, and then the other knee, and roll gently from side to side. Apanasana, knee to chest pose. Inhale, open your arms, palms face the ceiling in a T shape. Exhale, bring the feet back down to the floor. Inhale again, and when you exhale, drop both knees over to the right side of the body and take your eye gaze to the left. So we're just gently warming up the spine here. You might feel quite a strong stretch in the upper hip. You might feel that your breath really changes when you twist the torso in this way. Inhale, draw your belly in, draw your knees up to the center, and exhale in the center. Reset. Inhale again and exhale, drop your knees to the left and your eye gaze to the right. Inhale, knees to the center. Draw your knees back into your chest and rock from side to side. So keep hold of your right leg here. Bring your left foot down to the floor in semi-supine and stretch your right foot up to the ceiling. Here's where your strap, she says, having lost hers, might be handy. You can wrap it around your foot if you've got a loop in your belt. If you're using something else, then just take both ends of it either side. And we're going to stretch out the hamstrings on the right side. Try not to take tension into your upper body. So make sure your arms are nice and long and lengthened and you're not gripping. You're not trying to restrain a wild horse here. You're gently trying to ease out the stretch here, toes coming towards the face. Keep the tailbone down. Stretch the other leg away if you want to. So we're stretching out one leg here. I'm starting with the right leg. If you've started with your left, make sure to stretch out on both sides. Use your breath. So if you're doing the class live, it's still quite early in the morning, you might meet some resistance. So remember what to do with resistance in the body. Use your breath, speak gently to your body. We don't do any of that bouncing or pulsing that they do in other classes. We're just gently using the breath, the long threads of the breath, and imagining that your recalcitrant muscles are actually sticky toffee, and you're just going to stretch it out gently. Take one more breath here, stretching out the hamstrings on the right side, back into the chest. Give it a hug, and then take hold of your foot and draw it out towards the side. So we're opening the hip here. We want to flex the foot and take the hands, if you can, underneath your calf in an underhand grip, just like we do when we cradle a baby. Flex the foot and actively draw your right little toe, or whichever little got flexed, towards your knee. You really want to be active in the foot here, and you don't want to pull on the foot. So if you pull on the foot, you're going to strain the ankle. You want to pull gently on the calf, flex the foot, and flex the other foot as well. You may want to lift that slightly off the floor or place it on a block. Otherwise, we're drawing the little toe back towards the knee and drawing the calf up towards the chest if you can. Shoulders relax here. Try not to take that tension into the shoulders or the upper chest. And then gently release that leg, stretch it up to the ceiling again, stretch out the hamstring once more. Now reach down the side of your body with your right hand and bend at the knee so that you can grab hold of your left foot. When you've got hold of your left foot, draw your left thigh back to the mat. At this point, you may have to let go of the foot. If you can't reach, that's fine. But you're opening your left hip to the side, opening the knee to the side, maybe holding onto the foot. We've still got this right leg lifted and the foot flexed. Now we're going to draw that right leg gently down towards the mat. Get about halfway, you're going to point the toes and draw it back up again. Integrate the breath. Exhale as you draw the heel halfway down towards the mat. Inhale as you point the toe and draw back up again. Keep going with that move. If you've got the strength in your abdominal muscles, you can draw a little bit lower, but don't come all the way to the floor because then they'll just tend to switch off as that heel hits the ground. You want to move slowly and with control and hover that leg off the ground. We're going to do 3 more of these. So in total, you're probably going to do 5 or 6. If your breath's moving at a different speed from mine, and it would be surprising if it wasn't, then you might find that you do more or less than 5 or 6. It doesn't matter. Just make sure that you're moving with the breath and with control. And if you've lost count, as I think I might have done, that's okay too. Or if you've had enough and you think, thank you very much, that'll do for now, that's also fine. We'll make this the last one. Point your toes to the ceiling, hug that knee into the chest, gently release out the other leg and hug that one in too, rocking gently from side to side. Bring the right foot to the floor in semi-supine and then arrange your strap around the left leg. So as before, if you've got a loop, use the loop. Otherwise, if you've got a towel, take either end. If you haven't got anything at all, hold on to the back of the thigh, the back of the calf, but don't hold on to the back of the knee. Hamstring stretch. So again, imagine this is just chewy toffee or something stretchy, pizza dough maybe, and you're going to lengthen it, but you don't want to break it. So you need to take it gently and in stages, using your breath to increase that stretch. Keep the tailbone down if you can. Option, take the other leg away. Find that stretch. So check in with your lower belly. Are your hips level? Has the leg wandered out to the side? If it has, then just reset. Take a few more deep breaths here. One more breath here. And then we're going to bend the knee, release the strap, and draw the foot out to the side. So again, you want to take an underhand grip of your shin or your calf. You do not want to hold onto the foot because that's going to bend the ankle. Flex the foot, draw the little toe in the direction of the knee, and start to draw the foot towards you. So this is a powerful stretch for the outer hip there. Use your breath. Couple more breaths here, feeling that stretch. With each exhalation, you might be able to go a little bit further. If you move on your exhalation, you move with the breath, and the breath tells you what's appropriate. If you're grunting or stopping the breath or laboring the breath, then you've gone too far. So from here, we're going to gently release. We're going to send that foot up to the sky again, stretching out the hamstring one more time. And with the left hand, we're going to reach down the left side of the body, fold the right leg in, and see if you can get hold of your foot. When you've got hold of your foot, you want to draw the thigh back down to the floor, opening here if you can. Again, if you need to let go of the foot, or if you want to get a strap around the foot, then do that. Relax the upper body. Flex the foot and start to draw it down towards the floor. Go to about 45 degrees to begin with. Point the toes and inhale to draw the leg back up. So my leg's not going quite so open on this side. It's not going down quite so deeply, my right leg on this side. So if that's you, just notice if you've got any particular asymmetry in the body. I started to talk now, so I've lost my focus on the breath and lost the coordination. Lost the integration. So that's why you can't really tell when you look at pictures of other people, how many takes they had, for example, how many retakes, how many edits, how much retouching, but also where their head is. Of course, an experienced spiritual teacher would be able to tell. But to you and me, looking at pictures of people doing postures, it can be quite misleading. I know that when my head's not in it, I go wrong. Maybe you do too. So then hug that knee into the chest and gently release out the other foot from underneath, hugging both knees into the chest. So take an underhand grip, the backs of the thighs, and start to rock up through the spine, excusing the cracking hips or anything else that you've got going on. Or is that just me? And when you get up to a seated position, cross the legs. So make a note of which leg's in front. We're going to go on both sides. We're sitting in Sukhasana, easy pose. I've got my right leg in front. Take your hands and thread them through your toes. So you're going to thread one finger between each toe, if that makes sense. If this is horrible for you, then just, oops, I've missed a toe out. Sometimes you actually have to look to make sure that you've got your fingers between your toes. So this is a slightly odd posture, but it's very good for our toes, gives them a nice stretch. If it's horrid for you, then just clasp any which way you can. Otherwise, sit up as tall as you can, stretch your toes up, out, lift your spine up, find length here, and if you can, hinge from the hip and come into a forward fold. Keep stretching out the toes from side to side. And then inhale, come back up again. You've guessed it. We're going to cross the feet the other way around now. Try and find those gaps between your toes again. Spread out the toes. Sit up tall in Sukhasana. Lift and lengthen and hinge from the hip into a forward fold. Inhale, come up and set your position up in all fours, ready to come into downward facing dog. So box position on your mat, tuck your toes, press back through your heels, engage your belly button to your spine, send your heels down to the mat and start to draw your chest towards your thighs. Press into the mound of your first finger and your thumb. And at the same time, you want to avoid allowing your triceps to pop out to the side. So that's slightly odd counter movement there. Press into the finger mounds and send the buttock up high. Inhale, press your right heel into the mat. Take your left leg up high to the ceiling, three-legged dog. And as you exhale, bring the left knee to the chest and hover.
Come forward as far as you dare, floating onto your big toe here and energizing through the arms. So inhale, come back into your three-legged dog. Exhale, come forward and bring your left knee now to rest on your left tricep if you can, or hover it wherever you can. Engage your belly button and try and keep your hips level. It's quite tough here. So we had a nice gentle beginning and now we're doing some tough stuff. Inhale, back into three-legged dog. And now we're coming into pigeon, which might feel quite nice after that last pose. So your knee comes between your thumbs, your foot, your left heel comes towards your right hip, and we open the chest and we lift. So if you're struggling, if you're very high off the floor, or if you're rolling over onto your left buttock, then take a block, mine's just out of reach, and put it under your left buttock here. Lift and lengthen through the chest. Draw your shoulder blades together. Puff out your chest like a pigeon. Ekapada Rajika Asana. Now we're going to twist. So bring your right elbow to the mat. Have it parallel. Have your forearm parallel to the front of your mat. And without losing the length in your spine, float your left fingertips up towards the ceiling. Draw your shoulder blades together at the back of the body. Look up to your left thumb if that feels okay for you. Breathe deeply. Use your belly muscles here. Inhale, float the left hand down, release the right forearm, sit up here, and then reach around with your right hand for your right thigh. When you get hold of your inner thigh here, draw that leg all the way around 270 degrees and press your right foot into the mat. Press your big toe into the mat, but make sure your right buttock doesn't lift. So ease that back down again if you can. Too much for the left knee, stretch the left knee out in front of you. Otherwise, Ardha Matsyendrasana, lift and lengthen on an inhalation. Exhale as you twist to the right. Right hand comes behind. Left hand may or may not come outside the right thigh. Half Lord of the Fishes pose. Looking over the right shoulder, engaging with your belly breath. From here, some of you may already have the left leg extended. If not, extend that left leg. Take your left hand to the outer right foot and see if you can start to stretch that leg away. So here your strap may be handy. If you've got it, put it around your foot. Try and square off the hips there. Try not to allow that buttock to lift. When you've squared off the hips, press through the back hand to get your spine as long as possible. And maybe you can look over your right shoulder and float your right arm up. So you're trying to get your arms more or less level, your hips more or less square, and your spine long. Resist the temptation to get your leg really high and fall backwards, or really lifting it away from the mat. Inhale back to center, cross the legs back in easy pose with the right leg in front. Take the right arm underneath, left arm on top, and take eagle arms. We inhale here to open up the front of the body, tilt the chin back if that feels okay. And we exhale to fold, bringing the forearms to the floor if you can, or to a block if you've got one handy. Probably should have said that before, so you had it in the right place instead of kind of over there where mine is. Inhale, bring the arms back up again, unravel, take the knees round behind or roll over them, whichever way you want to. Come into your all four position, and we'll do that again on the other side. Inhale, as you exhale, come into downward facing dog, set up your downward dog. So you want length here from the fingertips to the tailbone, from the tailbone to the heels. Stretch the heels to the floor if you can. Bottom high to the ceiling. Press into your left heel, lift your right leg up high. Exhale, draw your knee towards your chest and hover. Light on your toes, energy through the arms. Stretch out here. And exhale as you come into your pigeon pose. Take your time setting up your pigeon. Take that block under your buttock here if you need it. Adjusting that right foot until you find a comfortable position where your hips can be open, but your knee is not stressed. Shouldn't hurt your knee. If it hurts your knee, adjust the foot, adjust the buttock, or come out of the pose altogether and take eye of the needle as an alternative. If you're happy here in your pigeon, we love pigeon, don't we? Yes, we do. Bring your left forearm down to the mat so that it lines up with the front of your mat, and float your right fingers up to the ceiling. Parivrita Ekapada Rajakapotasana. Drawing your shoulder blades together at the back of the body, looking up at your right thumb if you can. Try not to allow the left leg, the long leg, to flop out to the side. Inhale, draw down. Press up into your pigeon. Reach around for your left leg with your left hand and gently draw that leg all the way around into Ardha Matsyendrasana. So here, that toe will try and lift and the buttock will try and lift as well. Trying to get both down is a bit of a challenge. One or other will try and peel off the floor. But as I said at the beginning, it's a direction of travel. We're not aiming to be perfect. Here we're going to twist to the left. Take your right arm around your left leg. Take your left arm behind, or you can take your elbow to the outside of your thigh, stretching the fingertips away, lengthening the spine. Find your space here. And breathe. So again, if it's too much in the right leg, right knee, you can have the right leg straightened. Now we're going to unravel, and we're all going to straighten the right leg. And we're going to reach for the left leg with the right hand, using the strap if you need to. Stretch that left leg away. Square off the hips. Watch that they've not lifted before you twist to the left. And again, you can take the hand to the mat if you need to. Make sure your hips stay more or less square. Everybody's hips are different. And stretch that arm away. Look down your back fingers if you can. One side might be markedly different from the other. Just observe that without judgment and know which side you might need to do more work on. One more breath here. Inhale to release, and we're coming into a cross-legged position with the left leg in front. Sukhasana with the left leg in front. Now we're taking the left arm out in front, putting the right arm on top, taking eagle arms here and having another stretch. Inhale as you lift the elbows, open the front of the body. And exhale as you come into a forward fold. Breathing deeply. Inhale, come up. Release the arms, and we're coming up to standing. And I know we're nearly out of time. We did lots of slow stretching at the beginning, so we're now going to do a quick balance sequence. So eagle pose at the front of your mat, right leg on top. From eagle pose, oops, I think I'm going to come off my mat. We're going to come into warrior one. Set up your warrior one. From here, take your arms behind and straighten the legs. So we're coming into Parsvottanasana. Should feel quite nice. We stretch the hamstrings quite a lot. Clasp your hands behind in reverse prayer if you can. Bend the front knee and come into single-legged swan balance. Ekapada Hamsa Parsvottanasana. And then draw that leg back in. Take the arms up and over. Tadasana, hands to heart center. We'll just do that on the other side. Eagle pose. Put your weight into the right leg, left leg on top. Take eagle arms here. Unwrap, come into warrior one. Open the chest. Straighten the front leg, clasp the hands behind. Lift and lengthen and fold forward over your front leg. Keep your hips level if you can. And then from here, you're going to bend the front leg and come into single-legged swan stretch. Lift your chest square off your hips. Draw your shoulder blades together at the back of the body. Find lift and length. Release out of that into Tadasana. Hands up and over. Bring your hands to prayer, the front of your body. And then release your hands to the side. So we're going to finish our session today in standing Shavasana. Feet hip distance apart, palms face forward, shoulder blades draw together. Open your chest, lift and lengthen from your crown to your heels. And now close your eyes. Connect with the breath. So if you want to go into Shavasana on the floor, of course, that option is available to you. But having started on the floor, having begun our practice early in the morning, for those of you who are with me live, we're going to try and take that active rest into a standing pose. So that you can have the sensation of being in deep rest while upright, while sitting, while walking, while awake. So that we can be actively resting when we're waiting at the bus stop, or in a supermarket queue, or being yelled at by our kids, or whatever today, this week, this month has in store for you. Take your yoga with you wherever you go. And if you're able to be a yogi anytime, anywhere, then you are, whatever you look like, on the road to perfection. Namaste.